Okay, so little intro about myself. I am Bhushan Nemade, working with the product team of Devtron as an technical writer. So area of my interest are the cloud native technologies, exploring them, reading and writing about system design, and also interesting part is about storytelling, writing blogs and all. You can read my blogs on Devtron website. Also, I write some blogs on Medium. So today's talk will be we are already having four talks about observability, talking about matrices, logs, and traces. I will be not talking about the core part of observability, that is metrics, logs, and traces. Rather than I will be talking about how to get a visibility, a dashboard, how a dashboard can provide a visibility to your infrastructure. So the agenda, to just clear the agenda, it will be not about any dashboards of a Grafana or a Prometheus log anything. It will be more focused on a dashboard of a Devtron, how Devtron provides visibility to your workloads and how you can operate higher your Kubernetes infrastructure. So observability meet visibility. So everyone whoever have deployed an application over the Kubernetes will know that it's like a iceberg where we deploy a application, and with the application we deployed some multiple workloads. That can be the deployment set, replica set, then networking, the ingress object. Like it's literally look like this. You will be seeing the application running, and below that you will be having multiple objects that are powering it to run smoothly. So observability, when we talk about of observability, we always talk about the matrices, logs, and the traces. But it's like a raw data we get from the Prometheus, Grafana, everything. It's raw data. We don't actually have the operational visibility or something to act on. Consider we have one client. They have approximately 2,000 of microservices running in a production. So just think at the scale, 2,000 microservices running. If even one microservice throw alerts or error, you can get what alert it is. You can get test what error at what microservice it is, but how you can operate on it. You need to struggle with the kubectl and 2,000 microservices and handling it the kubectl. It's like developers, like it's so hard for developers or the DevOps guys to handle that much. So okay, so the challenges for the workload visibility, when we handle our Kubernetes infrastructure with the kubectl, we do not have actual full visibility of workloads. Definitely, we can get the visibility like running some commands. We can get the details about the pods, logs, at which namespace, what is running. But it's quite like it has the quite friction. So these are the some of the challenges, dynamic and ephemeral nature of a workloads. As a Kubernetes, if your pod is failing, a new pod will become at that place, and then you will literally not have any audit log or any auditing for the pod, that which pod has came up, or if you are having a 50 people of a DevOps, someone deploy anything, you will not have any trace who deployed it, when did it deployed, what was the status of the deployment. Then come the distributed system. As I mentioned, one of our client have 2,000 of microservices. So 2,000 microservices, how they are internally connected with each other. With kubectl, you will not able to find out that exact, like you can find out that, but there will be a great friction. Then multi-cluster deployment. Obviously, if someone is running 2,000 microservices, it will be spread across multiple cluster running in multiple different regions. That's the one challenge. Then the fragmented tooling, as you have already seen the landscape of cncf. There are multiple tools which can be used for production grade Kubernetes. How to keep trace of that tools, which tools is employed for what is the purpose of tool. Then the scalability of workloads. Obviously, if we are facing this much friction, there will be a scalability issue. Resource grouping for a deployed apps. As I mentioned, whenever we deployed a single app, with that a single app, there comes a multiple controllers, multiple objects formed like if I want to deploy a simple front-end application on Kubernetes, there will be a deployment set for it, there will be a replica set for it, there will be for networking, there will be a ingress object. If you are having some CRDs, they will be with that application. Then the last part, the last challenge is the configuration management. So the configuration management, like if you are employing a HPA or a KDA or multiple tools with your Kubernetes to run smoothly, how you will be maintaining the configuration management. It's very tedious process to manage the configuration of multiple tools. Obviously, there are ways like you can form one single Helm chart and deploy everything with that. But how will you maintain that Helm chart with the upcoming versions of every tool? How will you be maintaining the compatibility of tool? That's the major challenge that in Kubernetes in the today's world, like there is no single there is no dashboard which provides complete visibility for your workloads or the infrastructure. So okay. So we'll give you an idea about what's Devtron is. So Devtron is a first thing. Devtron is a open source and it's a self-hosted on your cluster. You can to run Devtron. You can simply start your Minikube cluster or microgators cluster, run some commands, and your Devtron instance will be up and running. Then you can add your clusters. You can employ the CI/CD pipelines, GitOps approach with the Argo CD. Devtron has a policy-driven pipelines. Policy-driven pipelines are like you can enforce some plugins for the developers. That should like you can enforce a workflow for the developers that every app, every microservice which will be getting deployed should go through this. Like we have a something plugin policy. You can enforce some plugins like a SonarQube plugin should be enforced in the pre-CI pipeline. So to perform the static code analysis, then the build will be done. Then we have image scanner plugins which can be enforced in the post deployment post build stage to scan the image, to scan the vulnerabilities of image, just to then comes in policy driven pipeline. We also have some security policies. We use a Trivi, open source project for scanning of the applications vulnerabilities. In the security policies, you can if your application is having the critical level of vulnerabilities, you can stop the deployment of your application. If you are having a medium level of vulnerabilities, still you can act accordingly. If you want to deploy it with a medium level of vulnerabilities, you can do that. Similarly, when it comes to observability and visibility, Devtron allows you to deploy the Helm applications where you can deploy the Kubernetes stack for your application, configure the dashboards, and for each and every microservice, you can visualize the Prometheus matrices on the Devtron dashboard itself. Also, you can link a external dashboard like Grafana to get deep dive into the observability and visibility. What I mean is like if you are getting your cluster on a Devtron will show what namespace is contained. You can even operate through the Devtron on your cluster. You can create resource through Devtron. You can delete some resources. You can twist the configurations. Then troubleshooting. So as I talked before, we get matrices, logs, and traces. But what about troubleshoot? Like what about the actions? if we know that the some specific pod is having some error, how we can troubleshoot it quickly. If you are having a kubectl and imagine you have 3000 microservices and a single pod is giving an error, you need to navigate to that pod through the kubectl, running some complex commands and then troubleshoot it. So to eradicate all the tedious processes on Devtron, you can simply go to that specific pod through the graphical user interface and troubleshoot. Devtron provide you a terminal on the dashboard only. You can run commands and make everything smooth. Then the security and governance. Devtron provided a robust RBAC options where you can like the RBAC of a Devtron goes to the smallest pod. Like you can decide who can access a single pod and who can access a whole cluster. Devtron provide multiple roles. You can configure each role for each user. So yes, Devtron do have a security and governance point with a robust RBAC. Okay, so we'll be demonstrating you the what is actual Devtron, what Devtron provides. Actually, the name of a dashboard that Devtron has a resource browser. We called it as a resource browser in Devtron. So you can call it as a Kubernetes dashboard by Devtron. We'll be demonstrating you the. Okay, this is something in Devtron Kubernetes resource browser where you can add cluster at the top right corner. You can see there is a button for add cluster. You just need a URL of your cluster and a bearer token. Once you provide it to a Devtron, Devtron will be onboarding your cluster to the dashboard. Here you can see we have already 5 cluster onboarded: default cluster, pre-brought Devtron, QA cluster of Devtron, stage cluster, and here you can see the status of the cluster. Like you can see 4 cluster are up and running and the one cluster is showing failed. The nodes that contain the specific cluster contains, the version of a Kubernetes on which the specific cluster is running, as a default cluster is on 1.30 and pre-prod Devtron is on 1.29. The capacity of the cluster, CPU capacity and the memory capacity. Okay, okay. So once we come into the cluster, here you can see we will be looking for the default cluster. Here we can see a catalog, CPU usage, CPU capacity, what is the user currently use of the what the workloads are consuming. Then the catalog where you can like put the metadata for the cluster, who is the owner of a cluster, who have the access for the like who can drive the pager duties issues. Then coming down, it also has a readme file to provide a more description about a cluster. If we navigate to the node section, here we can see the specific cluster is having a single node. If we coming into the node, here we can see the node overview where we can see the name of the node, the specific like a status, the version, and what are the resource consumption of the node. Then down, okay, the labels and annotations. Coming forward, we see the namespaces and the pods running in the specific cluster, specific namespace, and what is the requirement, what is the CPU limit for the specific pod and the namespace. Okay, then you can perform some of the operations on the specific pod, like you can visualize the manifest of a pod, you can see the events of a pod, logs, you can access a terminal for troubleshooting, check vulnerabilities what that pod is having, and also take actions like delete or deletion of the pod. And at a node level you can see at a left upper corner, you can visualize the YAML for the specific node. You can check for the node conditions. If your node is having some issues or you need to debug your node, you can access the terminal of the node. You can pardon a node, train node, you can perform every action from the single dashboard of a Devtron. Okay. Then coming to the namespaces that a specific cluster contain, we can visualize the name of a specific namespace. Like we are currently having a Argo, Crane, this type of a namespaces. We can see the status, what's the status and the age, like when was this specific namespace has been created. Okay. So we get filtering capabilities, like for the namespace you want. Kubernetes cluster can contain multiple namespaces. If you want to work in a specific namespace, you can filter out then the namespace. Like with some advanced capabilities like running a CEL expressions and all, querying a CEL expression and all. For the specific namespace, we can see Devtron provide you a capability to visualize the manifest of the specific namespace, check for the events, and also perform the critical activities like a deletion of a namespace or something. Then coming to the workloads, these are the workloads that we generally see in the Kubernetes whenever we deploy any microservice or something. Cron job, daemon set, deployments, jobs, pods, replica set. Here you can visualize everything that's your cluster contain. We can okay, so we will visualize the pods that our cluster is containing. Where here you can see the pods which namespace the pod is running into. Is it ready or not, a status, and how many restart it has done till date. Then you can filter out if you want to see the specific pod or do some operations on a specific pod, you can filter out through the namespaces. And here also you get some advanced feature for querying out the CEL expressions. When we come to the, like, if our pod is having any issues, here we can perform operations like checking of a manifest, looking at the events of the pod, checking out the logs of a pod. Then if you want to troubleshoot a pod, we can access a terminal and then check for the vulnerabilities and deletion of a pod. Okay, similarly, we get access for all the workloads like config storage, config map, persistent volume, volume chain, everything. With the similar capabilities of filtering out on the basis of a namespace and CEL expression. Similarly, we can visualize the networking, RBAC of the cluster, administration, other resources, and if there are any CRDs present in a cluster, they can also be visualized on a dashboard. Okay, so Devtron also provides the Kubernetes events that you can watch out what's happening in your cluster, at which namespace it's done, which object was present. Here also we get the capabilities to filtering out the events. One more capability of the Devtron dashboard is like if you want to create a resource on a dashboard, you can create a resource for the specific namespace. Like if you want to create a namespace, we can create a namespace by navigating to the upper right corner, create resource. We just need to paste the YAML of the resource and it will be created. Okay, so we will be looking at what visibility does the Devtron provide at the microservice level or an application level that has been deployed in on our Kubernetes cluster. So here we are looking at one application, a demo application, and which is running in the prod environment. We will be comparing the deployment of our application. Okay, so here we can visualize that one of the similar application is running on the another environment, staging environment, and here we can visualize what is the difference between the deployment of both application, what is the configuration drift. Then coming to the workflow editor, as I mentioned, if someone is having let's say 300 or 100 microservices, multiple applications, and we need to visualize the pipelines, how what is the workflow of my application, how it's getting deployed on the multiple environments. With kubectl, I don't think it will be a most feasible way. So Devtron provide a dashboard where you can visualize your pipelines. Here we can see for the first pipeline, it's a sequential pipeline where the build is happening, it's getting deployed on the utils environment, then on a stage environment, and it will be proceed to the production environment. Also, before the prod, you can see there is a approval. Okay, so the application will be get deployed on a stage in auto mode, but before deploying to the prod, it will be requiring the approval from the proper stakeholder. It can be a super admins or the admin of the application. Then at the second pipeline, we can see that application is taking a single build, and same image is getting deployed through the multiple environment or clusters. Okay, so Devtron also provide you a capability to set a CI/CD through the external sources. Like you can build out your application through Jenkins and deploy it through Devtron on a specific cluster. Okay. At some cases, when we deploy to the production environment, there is some issue and we need to perform an immediate rollback. So with a single click, Devtron allows you to execute a rollback of to the previous targeted versions. And when we talk about the visibility, we also need audit logs, maybe like who performed the build at what time. So with Devtron, you can visualize which build has taken time at what time, who deployed the application, who built the application. Here we can see the most recent build has been done by Utkarsh on Tuesday, 6th August. We can visualize what were the logs of the build, the source of the build, then the artifact generated by the build, and this is the security where the image has been scanned by the TV, and it's having a two critical vulnerabilities. Now the point of having the security policies plugged in. If I have enabled security policy, if I have enforced the security policies that if any critical vulnerability is detected in my application, the build should not be getting deployed. But okay. Then come to the deployment history. We will be checking for the production environment. Here we can get the overview who deployed to the production environment at what time. Here we can see the most recent deployment was initiated by Prakash on Tuesday 6 at 5:45 p.m. Here also we get what steps the deployment followed, the source of the deployment, what was the source, what was the artifact that was deployed, and also the configurations. Now this is the application level configurations. Here we can check that what was the configuration with the most recent build and the previous build. Yeah, like we can see there was a one deployment initiated by someone which was marked as a fail, and another, the most recent deployment has been succeed. But to check what was the configuration difference, Devtron allows to compare the deployments of both like both applications. Here also we can compare the pipeline configurations of the build with the previous build and the recent build, the config maps and the secrets. Once the application is been deployed, this is something it looks like on a Devtron. So we can consider the demo application as one of our microservice which has been deployed to a Kubernetes cluster. We can now visualize the application status, what was the deployment status. Also, the most recent deployment can be visualized. Then deployed commit, which commit was deployed, and also security, how many vulnerabilities did the application contain right now. For the specific application, the Kubernetes stack has been deployed, so the we can visualize the app matrices like the CPU usage, memory usage, the throughput, and the latency. Coming down the below those charts, you can see a Kibana take document, New Relic, and a Grafana link. You can attach external dashboards to with the Devtron and link down there to get more visibility into the matrices and logs. Coming down like here we are visualizing the workloads that has been deployed with this single application, like a deployment pod, replica set, networking, ingress object, service object. And if we want to operate on the specific application, we get Devtron provides you a logs, terminal, and event manifest, everything where we can operate. So as here we can see the view events, view container logs, check for vulnerabilities. If we want to delete the pod, we can also execute the action from here only. Okay. Uh, this was something what Devtron provides you as a visibility into your Kubernetes infrastructure. Okay, so we'll end up my talk with this. You can join the Devtron community. You can go to our GitHub, as we are open source. You can get your Minikube clusters fired up and install Devtron, try out Devtron. You can join our Discord community. Our ops team is super active on Discord community. If you are facing any type of difficulties around Devtron or even around Kubernetes, we are happy to help you. You can navigate to the docs page to get like how to operate over the Devtron and to okay. And we also have multiple other features which were not covered in this. I have covered just one feature, which is a TSOS browser. We do have some features like where you can do a multi-tenanted deployments. We also have something called auto remediation of Kubernetes. To know about that, you can navigate to the Devtron website, read my blogs there. You can read about the product updates. Okay. So thank you.